What's up, everybody? As always, like and subscribe to the Contract Fortune YouTube channel and subscribe to contractfortune.com so you can be made of any educational opportunities as well as online events, and things are opening back up. So any events that will be taking place, you guys can have access to them. So let's get right into it. With that said, it has been a journey and a half over the past about 8 weeks or so in terms of contracting. It's been really intense. It's been kind of crazy. It's a lot of folks in the pool right now. Some are legitimate contractors. Some are folks that just like literally opened a business 8 weeks ago. And the thing that I've learned, because this has been a life lesson for me, I've been in government contracting for 15 years in sub and prime contractor positions. And this has all been a lesson to me, and I've been learning a lot of things as this happens. It's something that hasn't happened in 100 years, a pandemic. And as with anything, when there's a lot of money at play, there's always a lot of folks that show up, and it's not what you know, it's who you know. Now, I'm not necessarily against, who you know versus what you know. But if you're going to have connections to the point where you can bypass everything, right, which is illegal, but, whatever. If you have connections to the point where you can get contracts just handed to you without, no bid contract, and you just get pushed to the front of the line because of who you know, then I can't really be mad at you for that. But when you don't execute the contract, it makes it so that the rest of us who do know, how to do the job can't really get the job done. And I said that in the last video that I posted, which was, a few weeks back. But that's here nor there. The thing that I did that I regret is I neglected giving content to the folks who are just establishing their businesses, those who are just trying to get into government contracting, those who are trying to get into freight brokering. And I haven't been given the content that was needed for some of you to actually apply what you get from here and utilize it in your own operation. And that was because I was out there chasing some of those big contracts as well. It's been very difficult. I've seen a lot of guys who I know have years of experience, more experience than me, 20, 30, 40 plus years of contracting experience. And they haven't been able to deliver or be awarded a contract during this time period. Now, this is going to go on for, another, in my opinion, probably maybe a year and a half worth of everybody's going to be looking for PPE. Now, the big thing is the testing kits, and folks are going to be looking for that. And it's very few people that have the necessary connections to secure those PPE items. And the thing you don't want to do if you're establishing your government contracting firm is you don't want to put yourself in a position where you get canceled for cause and then you can't bid on anything else. Now, the loophole in that is you can always establish another business, but you don't want to have your business shut down and be canceled for cause after you put so much work and, investment and time into what it is that you were trying to do as a contractor. My suggestion is to take a class. Of course, I'm going to suggest take my class, especially online courses are going to be critical right now. So take a class with me in terms of learning how to government contract, even learn logistics. My biggest thing right now, too, is learning logistics. Logistics is everything. And I want to touch on that subject for a minute. I think a lot of people who knew folks that gave them no bid contracts, where they lost focus was they didn't know logistics. Now, logistics is life. Whether they move by truck, whether they move by boat, whether they move by plane, anything that you procure, you're going to have to get it to the next destination. So I think that a lot of the medical supply companies that I've been working with over the past, few weeks or so came to me because they knew that I knew logistics. They knew if they had the personal protective equipment, I knew how to get it there. So why not work together and try to, win some of the larger contracts, which I was cool with until you realized how shiesty that the game had become, and so it was just wild, no oversight. But I highly recommend learning logistics. Now, learning how to freight broker and how to coordinate trucks and how to coordinate a supply chain or move a supply chain is what the Hub Circle method is about. The Hub Circle method is on contractfortune.com. You need to check out contractfortune.com. You're not going to get all of the info, of course, because you had to take the class for that. But the Hub Circle method is what we subscribe to, which basically is a supply chain. And it teaches you how you need to focus on the product, right? The line item from the shipper to the delivery, and how to monitor it as it moves in the supply chain. And that's where a lot of folks went wrong. They didn't know how to set up a supply chain or to link a supply chain. And it's that'll crush you every time if you don't know what you're doing. You need to have somebody that knows logistics. You need to have somebody that can consult your company. You need to have somebody that can point you in the right direction, because calling up to FedEx or UPS or any trucking company and saying, hey, I need a good freight mover is not going to get you anywhere at all. If anything, it's going to set you back, because at that point, people will know that you don't know anything, and they'll probably try to gouge you on a rate. So knowing logistics when you are doing these type of things or working these government contracts is something that I think is very important right now. It's going to be very important over the next year and some change as the pandemic, continues on. Knowing all of the different, terminologies, classifications, SBA certifications that you may need to build your business is important. But I think that now that the anger in me has subsided from being angry that all these people were here and trying to be awarded contracts that didn't know, what they were doing, I can now see a little bit more clear. And for those that really genuinely have the ambition to be a contractor, start small. There's nothing wrong with making a couple $1,000s here, a couple $1,000s there. Of course, you're supposed to swing for the stars. But if you swing for the stars and you get awarded, or you know somebody that can award you a large, multi-million-dollar contract, and then you don't know the basics of how to set up a supply chain, then now you just shot yourself in the foot. And I don't know. I just don't think that's a good thing, as a business owner and as an entrepreneur, if you're trying to really, set up a business for the long haul, that's going to be, something that you want to have follow you. Like, I learned early that, during this pandemic, that there were a lot of people here. Everybody wants to be the quarterback. That's the other thing. Everybody wants to be the quarterback. Everybody thinks they know everything, and they think that they can school you about something. And the cool thing was, there were a lot of people that I had encountered in my travels over the last few years, who some I had never met before and, never talked on the phone with before, just corresponded on email. And we actually worked together. And, there were a few people. I think the name of her company is Abaco. At the Abaco Medical Supply, I think, is Amber's company. But I worked with a young lady named Amber, and she's very knowledgeable about what it is that she's doing. She's very knowledgeable about wanting to learn the business. And she told me, now keep in mind, I have that hunger and ambition trait, I think, as a Sagittarius, and the business owner in her gave me some very good advice, and she's just now really starting to delve into it, and she knows how to play the chess game very well. She said she was going to stay away and stay back from the feeding frenzy that is this pandemic right now, and allow things to come to her. And I thought that was a really, really good idea. And I try my best to take some of that advice that she gave me, because you end up banging your head on the wall trying to, score or be awarded a contract, and the deck's already stacked against you. So once she gave me that advice, I thought it was, brilliant. It kind of made me step back and reevaluate what I wanted to do in terms of the overall scheme of things. Like, I'm in this for the long haul. Contract Fortune is ultimately where I want to be after it's all said and done with contracting. Like, honestly, I don't mind discussing my goal and my plan. And my plan for contracting, an opportunity like this, and I don't want to stand up and cheer because people are losing their lives large amounts of people are losing family members and friends, and that part is the tragedy of it all. But the opportunity of financial freedom and financial security during a pandemic or during a time where unemployment is so high was appealing to me, and I fed into that frenzy, and I jumped after it, and I went to a point where it was driving me crazy, and I didn't pay attention to what this is, because again, my goal is to ultimately be here. I want to be doing this. I want to be able to talk to you and give knowledge of what this is to the world, in terms of contracting, because the opportunities are vast. Learning logistics is something that I feel like is an invaluable skill. It's something that if you really have knowledge of how to move freight, you have a skill that very few people possess. And I think it's overlooked. I think sometimes it's taken for granted in terms of the skill of logistics and knowing how to, be a logistics coordinator. I think it's overlooked. I really feel like it falls into a category, and hear me out. It falls into the category pay-wise and career-wise of, to me, a lawyer or a doctor, or I'm trying to think of those real heavy careers. Something along an engineer. That's what a logistics consultant falls into, because it takes a lot of know-how to put together an entire operation. When we put together the San Francisco operation, I had to put together, a crew, forklift. I had to man the warehouse, get the trucks from San Francisco to Miami, all the different things that it took to get the solar panels, the freight that was in San Francisco to Miami, and ultimately from Miami to Puerto Rico. So that's 3 stops. That's 3 different stops. You know what I mean? And at each of those stops, those solar panels were offloaded. You got to make sure that you're not breaking product. You got to make sure that the product is safe. You got to make sure that the product makes it to the boat that it's going to get on so it can go to the next destination. All of those things take skill. And if you just are the type of person who's going to say, okay, I'm going to get this big multi-million-dollar contract, and then I'm just going to pay everybody to do all of these different things. I'm going to get the guy to work the warehouse. I'm going to get the guy to, pay the guy for the warehouse in Miami, and then pay for the boat and all that stuff. Then now you're just cutting into your profit and it's being lazy. If you have that type of money to spend and you can afford to lose it, then by all means, that's the easy way to do it. Just subcontract all that stuff out. But if you have the ambition to learn, and you have the will to learn, and the know-how to comprehend how a supply chain works, then learn the skill. And now you not only have worked that operation, you have the ability to work any operation that ever pops up on you again. So I feel like a lot of these guys that won these contracts, a lot of these companies that won these contracts, they didn't have the know-how to execute them. And again, back to my goal. I know I'm digressing back and forth. My goal is to be here and to give the knowledge of this to the world. But because of what the opportunity was with the pandemic, I lost sight of this and focused strictly on that. And for that, I apologize. For that, I feel like, now I'm refocused. I think I'm rededicated. Sometimes you have to take a second and really understand that, what it is that you're trying to accomplish, and you have to focus your goals and focus in on your goals. And this not only falls into logistics and government contracting, it also falls into just being an entrepreneur, period. When you move too fast and you try to do too many things at one time, you can often lose sight of what the ultimate goal is. And that was something that I did, and it takes time to refocus. And sometimes you got to turn everything off, take a second, read a book, go to the beach. I know the beach has been closed, but, take a second just to breathe in and figure out what it is that you want to do next. Because you spend so much time chasing something and hoping that you win on this particular goal that you might be winning on this goal over here and not even notice that you're winning on this goal over here. And I think that was a little bit of what was happening to me. I was neglecting what I had accomplished and what I had built right here. And for that, I apologize. And for that, I'm now refocused on what Contract Fortune is. But with that too, what we're going to do on the website, right? The website is going to have the webinar. The webinar is in English and in Spanish. I think I've said that several times. There's a Spanish and English version of the webinar of the basics of government contracting. I highly recommend you take the course. I highly recommend that you get the knowledge that you need if you want to step out into that contracting space. I also recommend that you attend as many networking events as you can, whether it be virtually, because right now I know it'll be virtually, but get out there and, network with as many local officials, state officials, national officials that you can. That way, when an opportunity such as this one arises, you have made the connections that you may need to help you out in the contracting space. Right now on the Contract Fortune website, there is a bubble, a link bubble that clicks onto PPE. I'm still working with the medical supply companies, so I still have access to bulk medical supply, and the inventory sheet is on the Contract Fortune page, which I didn't think to put them together before. I don't know why. I just didn't. It just clicked into me to put it all together and work them both together. So I highly recommend that you take a webinar course. Hopefully I can start the class back up and people can take the class again. But I highly recommend that you take the webinar course. Take the webinar course. Those that need PPE, if you are in earshot of my voice, if you're looking for bulk purchased PPE, whether it be to open up your business, whether it be to help another business owner get their business reopened, we have bulk PPE available. And thank you for sticking with me. I mean, I saw the numbers starting to tick up on the YouTube page. I thank you guys so much for showing love and for showing support. And I'm gonna start giving out a lot more I think knowledge-based nuggets of what I've seen over the last few weeks. Has been absolutely crazy in terms of what I've seen in the contracting world. I've never seen anything like this before. Again, like I said, I saw dudes who've been in this game for years that weren't able to secure, the big contracts. So like and subscribe to the YouTube channel, and I will see you guys in a few days. Talk to you soon.